My name is Jessica Kelly, and I am the founder and CEO of Thr3efold. I have spent the last 10 years working in the fashion industry in New York, and I've worked with hundreds of brands, top brands in the industry, small to large, everything in between. And I loved what I did, but a few years ago, I really started to feel that disconnect between all of that work and the deeper meaning and impact that that was having. And the industry was finding that too. Some things were coming out about the human exploitation and the pollution of the planet that were hidden in our supply chain. And what you may have heard over the several years that that's been a talking topic is why change isn't happening sooner. And that's actually because the solution is quite unclear. So what you're going to have is a lot of production professionals at apparel brands not really familiar with sustainability or what the standards should be in factories in order to make the right educated decisions. And they're working about 80 hours a week, so they do not have the time to learn. Similarly, garment factories, it's very decentralized. They're dealing with often poor websites. They're working on very busy schedules with super low profit margins. So they similarly are struggling to be found. So how do these brands actually find the right factories to work with? Well, Thr3efold is the solution. We are a tech platform providing apparel brands with access to an ethical supply chain and sustainability training so they can grow for people, planet, and profit. Now, as you can imagine, the fashion industry is quite massive, but what you may not know is the largest and fastest growing segment in both spend and sustainability as well as impact are these mid-priced brands under $100 million in revenue, and this is a $200 billion market. Now, where they're actually seeking change is after they set their strategy and their goals, they are going and now they're looking at their supply chain to make the changes there first. Now, the supply chain is quite archaic. It's traditionally been very clunky, but as we have all been forced to go digital over the last year and a half, we are really seeing rapid innovation happen in the supply chain software industry that's expected to be over $37 billion by 2027. Now, the way our model works is brands purchase an annual membership to get unlimited access to the platform, and factories are charged on a commission for new business. That way, they're more incentivized to join quickly, and then we have that training that's at their leisure as they need it and can continue to grow. And that's what we've really used to grow our revenue so far. The training and the events we've done have built up our brand awareness. We have been very fortunate to partner with some top companies and have some really incredible sponsors. We just launched the platform in June, and we already have factories from 30 factories from Guatemala all the way to Sri Lanka, and we have 20 brands already on the platform. Now, as we're coming over into September, we're really excited for some exciting momentum. We are already in contracting conversations with Thr3 and coordinatingly Helmut Lang and Richer Poorer. Liberty Fairs just joined us as a partner. They are a key trade show for fashion brands. And we are in the final rounds for Startup Boot Camp, which is a fashion tech accelerator in Milan. So we're really excited for a very, very busy fall. Now, we've got a really great healthy financial projection. We keep our tech being built in Bangladesh, which keeps our costs low. And this is actually not including the opportunity for expanding to textile mills, to leftover fabric, we call that dead stock fabric, to have a marketplace for that, and additional factory services to help them improve their standards and be even better at what they're currently doing. We have a fantastic team that's already working on and deploying this. Our board of advisors all comes from top brands in the industry, and our internal team has worked with leading brands as well. And like I mentioned, our team of engineers are all top talent working at top companies in Bangladesh and have worked with me for 3 years in building this product. So as we move forward, we're seeking $500,000 in pre-seed so that we can hire our team full-time and specifically scale out the development for adding textile mills onto the platform. That's our #1 requested item, and go into a sustainability resource center so we can be further encouraging that early user growth and getting people equipped with how to make the right decisions and then scale up those sales in order to grow. So we are very excited, but I want you to just understand that what's already happening at a very small scale can happen at a larger scale. The factories like Kishore that are on our platform are employing women in opportunities where there is 0 jobs, 0 opportunities for them to provide for their families. They're cleaning up their communities. This is actively happening, and we're able to do more of it. So with your help, we'd love for you to join us in creating a fashion industry for people, planet, and profit. Thank you.
Hey, Jessica, that was a really good presentation.
Thank you.
And you have really good materials. I have a couple questions. So I want to make sure I understand the value proposition right. That the brands have trouble finding factories that conform to the ethical standards they'd prefer to adhere to when they're making clothing. That's correct?
Correct, yes.
And then the factories have trouble finding the brands that are willing to pay up a little bit because they have to charge a little more to conduct business sort of in an ethical, sustainable way. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's basically a who you know side of the industry. So
Right.
the supply chain in general is very old school. So
Right.
it is agents, they're paying trade shows, showrooms. Brands have to spend hours and days in trade show floors trying to scour who's the right fit. Again, that's not even accounting for standards. A lot of them don't know the certifications that are required.
So you're building a two-sided marketplace, right, where you sit in the middle,
Yep.
and you charge the brands a SaaS fee, and you charge the factories a commission.
Correct.
Okay, good. So could you go back to the chart that you have, which shows the revenue break? Well, there you go, that one. So is it correct to infer from this chart that all the money's in the brands? Like, because it looks like your revenue, like it's overwhelmingly in the
Yes.
brands. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you're charging these factories that, like, I know nothing about, but obviously I know nothing about fashion, right? Yeah, right. But like, so you're charging these factories that are run at a pretty thin kind of operating margin per your own slides. You're charging them a commission, right? Do you need to do that?
So we have a few other platforms in the market. They're not actually, they only charge the factories. They're not charging the brands. We've split it up because of the fact that the factories that are doing good work are already on such low margins, profit margins. And the tech that we've included is why we have a lot of the brands like using that. Basically, it's a PLM system, production lifecycle management system. So it's a simplified version that puts them on the same page and has that project management. Factories are very used to paying agents, trade shows, things like that. So that's actually already something that they're interested in. This is saving them a ton of money by not having to ship a team to New York, be there for several days, be paying agents, paying expensive real estate rent for a showroom in Manhattan. So this is actually much lower than what they're used to paying currently.
Good. So let me reframe my question. If you dropped the commission to a much lower percentage, do you think you would increase the number of factories substantially, or are you kind of already at that point?
We're already at that point. So what's more the adoption rate for us with factories is finding the ones that are ready and excited about tech options.
Really? And that conform to the whole ethical standard thing?
Yes, there are 13,000 factories already with ethical certification. So we're starting with the ones that are already, preaching to the choir, already believers in that. And from there, I think the whole, premise is that with that momentum shifting and more factories getting those certifications.
The challenge with two-sided marketplaces is if you need liquidity on both sides to make it go, right? Because there's a lot of good ideas that require liquidity on both sides. If there's friction on both sides, it's hard to get both sides to grow. Yeah. And so the real basis of my question is, have we really reduced the friction on at least one side? Because if you were super liquid on factories, it'd be easier to sell brands, or vice versa, right?
Yeah. Good. That's definitely what we're working on for sure. Yeah. I think right now, and especially just how the fashion industry works, is getting one of those anchor brands in that allow us to kind of start catapulting that momentum. So that's why we're working with Thr3 right now and really excited about that opportunity, because everyone wants to see somebody doing it first. And so we have the emerging brands already interested. They're using the training, they're using the platform, but getting one of those key anchor brands will allow us to build that momentum.
I have a little more to say, but I'll hand it over to Chris.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's good. Great job. I think my favorite, the thing that's clearest to me is the problem statement, right? So I think is a really good way to come out and just talk about the impact that supply chains are having on, places far removed. Obviously, there's a big push in ESG these days. A couple of things that I was curious about. So you mentioned 23,000 of revenue and 16,000 of profit last year. So all of this has built $7,000 of expenses in the back end?
Yeah, well, a portion of our tech got built the year prior. We definitely had to delay our plans due to COVID, but we did build the platform for 15,000 total.
Okay. And so how do you onboard new factories? Like there must be some sort of like travel and like, I'm guessing oversight. There must be some kind of like way that you underwrite the factory to ensure that it conforms to particular standards, or is that already well known?
So there are 11 certifications specifically about labor already in the industry. There are 6 that we accept because they require an in-person audit. So we actually work with those auditing bodies. So when a factory applies, they'll apply, they have to submit their certification. We check that with that coordinating auditing body's database to make sure that it's up to date. We do get faulty certifications, unfortunately. And then from there, we'll usually have, we'll send them their registration link. They can go ahead and sign in. Usually it helps with a demo call as well, just to help them make sure they're picking the right photos. We take a look at that before we approve the profile so that they're putting their best foot forward as well.
I think one of the things that I'd like to see a little more is just how it works in general. Like, walk me through so that I can understand that. I'd also I'd be curious to know, like, who do you sell to within a brand? Like, who is it that's buying this? Are they replacing some form of software, some sort of overhead that they're using today to find and manage factories? So I guess and then the last part is, so what I want to see is this a cost saving, or is this just a, like, I'm being kind to the planet and I want to be able to tell people eventually that I do?
Right. So production managers and directors or leads over sourcing, it really varies team by team. So every brand is different. Someone in the production and sourcing team is who we're typically talking to. If it's a smaller brand, it's the brand owner. I'm sorry, what were the other questions?
So the question, who do you sell to? Is it replacing other technology or people? And is this a cost savings or a feel good?
So this is a hybrid, all three. So this is a hybrid. We've got some sourcing and some PLM, so that project management. For the sourcing, we're really replacing those trade shows, agents, and just like literally texting friends in the industry, like at J.Crew, like, who do you work for with sweaters? And then for the project management component, there is PLM software. It's a beast. It's quite old. It's from the 90s. It's very clunky. However, not every brand is on it because of all of those reasons and how steep the learning curve is to get your team on it. So there's a lot of brands, big brands, that would surprise you that actually are just using Excel sheets every day.
Do one last one?
Go.
Okay. Last one. So a pet peeve of mine is on TAM slides, right?
Yeah.
So 3 trillion, this, like, just the easiest thing is, how many brands are there that you're targeting and how much are you going to charge them? How many factories exist and what's the percentage that'll flow through? Add that together, that's your TAM.
Okay.
I'd rather it be accurate and smaller than like make me go do the work to figure that out.
I was going to go to the same place. So, like, you're a good storyteller, and this is a good story. That was a good presentation. I think the numbers on your charts are not as strong as your storytelling, right? Because, like, this chart that we're looking at right now, like, this is a hard chart to buy, right? Because this massive back-end loaded hockey stick growth, right? Like I think you could do an amazingly good job running your company and doing everything right and not come anywhere close to those numbers, right? And if you go back to the prior chart where it talks about the profitability, at this stage, I don't think you have to sell profitability to people who are investing in something that's good. So I think you're off to a great start. It's an interesting space. Like you're a compelling presenter, and this is a good story. I think I'm with you on the TAM thing. I would think about the numbers on your charts. Did you feel the same on some of the numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the profitability thing. You don't have to sell profitability when you're this small.
Okay.
No one expects you to be profitable. I don't.
And it invites more questions than comfort.
It's good. It's pretty good.
It is good.
It's good.
Thank you, guys.
And great.